Hey, everybody. The first round of the NBA draft is not yet in the books. The Kings finally get into the first round and leave the role of a spectator. They make a deal with Oklahoma City, and they take Nique Clifford with the 24th overall pick out of Colorado State. Your thoughts?
A smooth player, 4-year player, Colorado State like that. Each year scoring's gone up. He's got an 8'5" wingspan, although he's only 6'5", so looking to guard multiple positions on the wing. I don't mind it. I wonder where he fits in though with the Kings' problems, Grant.
All right. So when you talk about the Kings' problems, you mean addressing a need, correct?
Really addressing the 4-5, the guy that can really guard that man, get Keegan back to his 3, or the point guard.
Yeah. All right. So the Kings, they're going to fix their team primarily through trades, not this trade, and free agency, which starts in a couple of days. And that's where we'll know whether this team has a chance to climb up the ladder or not next season.
It's worth here's what it's worth. I think he might be able to come in, give you some minutes now. He's going to have to with the Kings situation unless they make some big trades, but kick the can down the road because you don't have a ton of open cap space this summer, and you got a lot of spots to fill, Grant. So I think from that point of view, it makes sense.
All right. If you want to get in on the program, you can give us a call, your messages and everything else. Happy to have you here. To this point, any surprises for you with the selections prior to 24 in this first round?
I predicted it. I'm not trying to call my own shot here, but Austin Ainge taking Ace Bailey at number 5 for Utah. I thought it was an incredibly good and ballsy move because Washington wanted him bad. It's either we'll ride with him, we'll take the risk, or you can pay us and we're going to turn him into an asset. And so I thought that was really good. Obviously, San Antonio, very good draft. And then how about Portland, Grant, going for the center out of China, who was projected to be second round at best?
All right, as far as Bailey and the Jazz, Danny Ainge is running that franchise, and Danny doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So I always put my trust in Danny Ainge when it comes to these type of things.
Yeah, I think right now, as we sit, Utah has won the night so far. They have replaced Clarkson and Sexton, in my opinion, with 2 possible better players.
All right, let's get back to the Kings right now. Do you think this could possibly be a sign that Devin Carter might be on his way out in a trade for the Kings?
Very well could be. Yes, depending on how you address the point guard position, whether that's an upgrade as part of a trade for a point guard, you include Devin, but it's in that same range, kind of that same position, a little bit bigger guy coming in.
One thing I do like about this individual is his age. He's 23. He's not a pup, and I like that. I'm not a fan right now of drafting 18 and 19-year-old guys unless you're talking about Cooper Flagg or someone like that.
Yeah, nope, I'm with you, Grant. And we saw that become an issue last year. Dalton Connect fell in the draft for being a little bit older. And Grant, I would say outside of the top of the draft, this is the second year in a row we've seen a subjective draft where teams are targeting guys that they feel like they can work on the best and fit the best in their systems.
All right. We'd love to hear from you, your thoughts. We are on talking about the first round, which is currently at pick number 26, and a busy Brooklyn Nets with multiple first-round picks. And the Kings will also have a pick tomorrow in round 2 at, I believe, number 42.
Correct. 42 is where they'll be picking. It'll be interesting to see. I have not seen what the cost was to move up for the Kings yet.
Not yet. It is not. I'm looking at that as well.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. But everybody wanted, in fact, we asked Jerry on Tuesday, will the Kings get back into the first round? Here's what he had to say. So 2 final questions to wrap up, and thank you again for your time. As always, I really appreciate it, especially please send Mrs. Reynolds my best. First question: as we sit here, or when we sit down Thursday to in the old days, pick up a newspaper, but more realistically, look at our tablets and our phones. Will the Kings have traded into the first round?
I think they will.
Okay.
I'm pretty optimistic. I mean, I think there's enough teams would like to get out of the first round, that don't see this draft as it's kind of a limited appeal draft. You've got some real stars, but it looks like or potential stars, but you don't see a lot of them. And so I could see where a first round pick would be more valuable to the Kings than other teams, especially a lot of teams that have them. So now, can they get up into the top 10 or something? I'm not sure about that.
Which they did not, but Jerry called it, Napes.
Yeah, he did. And Oklahoma City's a perfect example of that. They don't need the 24th pick in the draft.
Well, Grant, the pick that they made with Schroder is an incredible pick. He's a rim runner. He fits in perfectly with the length. It's now an arms race between San Antonio and really Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City's length is going to be very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I'm not ready to anoint San Antonio yet. They look good on paper, but you know what? I need to see it all come together. So I'm not ready to. I think the term arms race that you use is an interesting one and probably appropriate, but I still need to see it all come together for San Antonio, and I've already seen it come together for Oklahoma City.
I would agree with you. I think you're at least another free agency, not this one, but another one out for San Antonio to bring in that other piece and give Wemby another year. But that is where it seems the West is headed, my friend.
And I'm still not sold on Monk. Excuse me. I'm still not sold on Fox to be the guy for San Antonio at that position. I'm just not yet. I'm sorry. I think if you're a point guard in the NBA and you're not prolific at shooting the three, I'm skeptical. I'm just skeptical.
Yeah, and I think San Antonio is very low risk. They're not very much skin into the game with De'Aaron Fox. So if these two guys pan out along with Stephon Castle and Wemby continue to develop, why pay De'Aaron Fox $30-40 million, Grant, and commit to that? Somebody that's arguably at the top, maybe on the downside of their career.
All right. Again, if you're just joining us, the Kings get into the first round. They make a deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're still waiting to see what they actually gave Oklahoma City. The number 24 pick, and they take Nique Clifford out of the Colorado State and the Rams.
A good wing, 4-year player, as we said, rebounding, really going to help out a lot and fits into that kind of dog, tough-nosed culture that Doug Christie is looking for. And Grant, when we talk about the Kings, whether they rebuild or not, universal pieces, it's players that can switch on defense. And he seems to be one of those guys that can guard multiple positions.
All right. Most observers, and I'll ask you, but most of the folks that do this for a living thought that this was not a really good draft outside of the top 6 to 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that the narrative?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you can't find a good player at 24 or 42 or 52. But keep in mind that in a draft that most observers felt was not that deep, that there was a huge drop-off after the first 6 to 8 picks. This is a player that was taken at 24. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well, you got Jalen Wells at 39 last year in a draft that was considered even less steep. I think, Grant, this is going to be the norm, not just because of NIL, but more importantly, the transfer portal. When are we going to see guys that stay 3-4 years in college anymore at the same school? It's going to be really difficult to maintain, meaning I think drafts are going to be very hit and miss unless you got that big star at the top like you did this year.
All right. It looks like they sent the Kings sent their pick in 27. That is the pick they got from the Spurs, their first round. That's top 16 protected. And then if it doesn't convey, according to Jacob, and I'm reading this, it will be a second rounder, 2 second rounders in 2027. So that's what they gave up.
Yep. And still number 42 to go tomorrow.
And if it's protected top 16, I'll make a prediction right now that the Kings will have that draft pick in 2027. I believe that will not be sent. I don't think. I think that will be their pick.
Or it's a colossal failure if they're not able to keep that one. So anyways, what are y'all thinking about Nique Clifford? A lot of info coming in on him. Grant, you asked me about the massive failures tonight. I had no idea this guy was draft eligible.
So the Portland Trailblazers select Colin Cowherd here.
Colin Cowherd drafted to the Blazers.
Oh my God. Oh, no words. All right. Cody says I'm not a fan, but at least it's protected. Yeah, it's protected. I mean, the best case scenario would be to lose that pick. That means you're in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you have to look at it that both ways, but at least it's protected for the top 16. All right. So the draft is still going on. There are 4 picks remaining in the first round, with Brooklyn still picking another one at 27. Their pick is in. And then you have the first round will complete with Boston, Phoenix, and then it looks like Washington. Is the Wizards the last pick? But not Washington.
No, the Clippers.
The Clippers. I'm sorry.
Yep.
The Clippers with the last pick in the first round.
I do not think Brooklyn has had a particularly good draft. What did you make of their point guard pick from Russia?
I don't know anything about him. Couldn't tell you anything about him. So I'm not going to make an opinion on something I don't know anything about. I would say that other than Cooper Flagg in this draft, I wouldn't make any concrete opinions on anyone, including Dylan Harper. He's 18. I've been doing this for so long, Ryan, and I don't want to sound like I know it all, because I certainly don't.
Yeah.
The one thing I've learned about covering the NBA for decades is that nothing is for sure unless their name is Tim Duncan, right? Someone like that coming out of the draft. They don't have a lot of those players coming out of the draft very often. I've seen so many busts in the top 5 picks over the years in the NBA, Sacramento maybe at the top of the list, that I'm extremely skeptical when anyone asks me for my opinion on a particular individual. I just have seen too many players. Nikola Jokic, second round pick, right? And I can go on and on and on. Isaiah Thomas, last player taken in the draft for Sacramento, ended up being an MVP candidate years later with the Boston Celtics.
Right.
All right. And again, I can go on and on and on. There are so many examples of stars in the NBA that were second round picks. And there are many examples, Ryan, of guys that went number 1, the Markelle Fultzes of the world, right?
Yeah.
Number 2, Hasheem Thabit, Marvin Bagley, right? Thomas Robinson, number 4. Or number 5. I can go on and on and on. Josh Jackson, number 4. Bust. Although I don't think Bagley's a bust. I just think that if the draft were held all over again, he wouldn't be anywhere near where he was taken. So you know what, Ryan? I need to see these guys play a couple of years. I'm sorry. That's how I analyze the draft.
It's fair enough. I think if I'm looking at the top 5, certainly what you said is true about Cooper Flagg, but I think it's going to be hard to miss on Con Knipple. I don't think he's going to be a star, but he's going to be a guy that is in the NBA for a really long time. I think he is the best catch and shoot shooter in this NBA or in this draft. So I would bet my money pretty much on him as somebody that's probably not going to miss, even though you take your formula that way.
All right. So let's, okay. I'm fine with that. And listen, there are different definitions, right?
Sure.
Of whether you talk about a star, a bust, or a good NBA career. There are a lot of players that had played in the NBA for many, many, many years that were never all-stars, but played in the league 10, 12, 13, 14 years, that had tremendous NBA careers. Not great, but were extremely important to the teams that either drafted them or that they were traded to. Those you need those players to win with. You have to have those players.
You got to have them. Absolutely. And even now in this CBA, I mean, really the attention turns, Grant, to when the dust settles after the Kings draft 42, assuming they don't move up into another pick in the second round or whatever it may be, what that summer league team is going to look like. And I know it's not usually a good measuring stick, but there's guys on that summer league team that are going to have to possibly contribute on this Kings team, like a Devin Carter, assuming he's here, or improve his value possibly. He's going to have to look good there. So I guess you can't miss right now. And the Kings have done a good job of developing, and that's going to be a big part of the Kings program and many programs in the NBA.
Bro. Again, Flores, well, how would I grade the Kings trade today? I don't grade it at all. How can I grade it? Can't grade it. You know, and I also made a mistake a couple of months ago that I got to clarify. The Kings traded their pick that they received from the Spurs. So it's top 16 protected in that perspective. So, I mean, if you're looking at 2 years from now and you project where the Spurs are going to be.
That's why I said it'd be a collapse.
You're right. I got it. Pardon me for that. The Spurs, that would be a disaster for the Spurs based on what they're doing and their trajectory.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. Exactly right. So
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask the chat, is there any names that y'all are looking at in the second round? No, Grant, that's not a big thing for you, but it is another player for the Kings.
Yeah, well, you're asking the fans, and I hope that those that have done immense research can come up with a name or two at number 42. Again, if you're taking at 42 in a draft that's not projected to be that strong, it is a 100% crapshoot. You know what you're hoping for? You're hoping for a player that you can have in the Stockton G League that you can develop a couple of years and be a Keon Clark type. Now, I know that's an extreme, but that's really what you're hoping for.
Yeah, and the Kings have done a step better with that. Keon wasn't even drafted.
That's correct.
Undrafted, and the Kings identified him. So, and that's why I'm looking at that side of things when they put together this summer league roster to see who's going to be on that.
All right. Again, the Celtics take Hugo Gonzalez out of Spain, a guard, and now the Suns are on the clock, followed by the Clippers. So we're talking about this, everything else that's going on. So happy to have you here on If You Don't Like That. We appreciate your input. You can give us a call as the Kings do make a trade to get into the first round with pick number 24. Tell you that the New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. They're available around the clock 24/7. Go to sackserviceplumbing.com or newworksplumbing.com, NEWWRXplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. They are awesome. And again, they're available 24/7. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you.
So I'm looking through the list of the players that the Kings worked out. I don't know that they worked him out. And it would make sense because they didn't have a first-round pick. Okay, I know they had one set of workouts that was not reported, but okay. All right. So they...
How do you like this? How do you like this text? This is beautiful. There's still some roster spots left. Maybe the Kings can acquire a few more two guards.
Well, they kind of technically did get a 2 tonight. 2, 3, 4, not 4, 2, 3.
Well, that's what he means. I mean, like at some point, when you look at this roster right now, I keep on hearing Malik Monk's name in the rumor. You drafted Devin Carter last year.
Mm-hmm.
You now draft this individual from Colorado State, right?
Yep.
Nique Clifford. And I don't know what his natural position would be in the NBA, but I like that he's kind of a multi-dimensional guy when I look at his resume. I understand. And listen, if the Kings don't address what they really need in free agency or via trade, it's not going to be a very good year. We know that. We have to give Scott Perry a chance to do it.
Yeah, and you have to give respect to Scott Perry and this pick in this sense, and you mentioned it, I've mentioned it as well. 4-year player in college. Scott Perry knows this guy's going to probably be playing some minutes this year, and he's going to be more prepared because of that. Same college, by the way, Colorado State, than your guys that are one and dones that been to a couple schools, and that's it.
I'm with you. I always like taking players that have a lot more experience coming out of college, and they don't come in with entitlement and everything else. So I'm okay with that. All right. So we've got the first round wrapping up with the Phoenix Suns on the clock, followed by the Clippers. And then they will adjourn for the evening and come back tomorrow with round 2 and the Kings at number 42. Jacob says Monk or Carter is gone, in my opinion. Well, you can get if you're going to lose Monk, you better get somebody pretty good.
It's got to be a creator. It has to be a creator, because then you're down to one creator on the roster.
And he better be able to shoot the three too, because that's something that Malik Monk can do. And I'm a Malik Monk fan. I don't know where you're at with this, but I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't trade him, but you better make sure you get a known commodity back.
Certainly. I'm with you. And that you're talking on the court, off the court, Malik is so important to what that team does when they're low. He brings them up and vice versa. Grant, he's fearless. I think that's kind of what the Kings are looking for. They're looking for those fearless players that can stick their nose in there and kind of epitomize what Doug Christie used to do on defense. Can you start? Let me ask you this. Can you trade anybody before you trade DeMar DeRozan?
Great question. It's a great question. Well, I look at this in two different ways. The goal of the Kings right now is not to win the championship next year. The goal is to put together a team that can be together in a trajectory that gets you into the playoffs every year.
Correct.
So I think you have to understand that Vivek thinks the Kings are much better than they are, and that's something that Scott Perry has to deal with. But the reality is they're not ready yet. And I think that has to be the mindset of all the moves that you make right now. Maybe not making it specifically for next season, but you are looking at the big picture. I'm looking at the Kings right now as a big picture when I'm talking about moves.
Yeah, I think you have to, and you've got to look at the bigger picture of how the NBA is moving. And I think tonight was another statement that double bigs is starting to come back into style. So you got two of them right now. How are you going to be able to incorporate them together if you're Doug Christie? But that's going to be important for the Kings if you're going to be able to rebuild and compete properly.
Somebody says that they love that we're giving Perry props for the same stuff that Monty got killed for. I'm not giving Perry props at all. I'm not giving him any props at all. He hasn't done anything yet. I'm not giving anybody props. I'm like, hey, show me what happens when the ball's tossed up in October. That's when I'll start handing out props.
Yeah, the props that came from me was, I think you needed to do something for this season. You had 3 players last year that were out of the NBA to begin the year on your roster. So you give up that future pick that is protected. That is my props to Scott Perry.
Amen. And I understand that, but let's not get to the viewer. Let's not go overboard. All right. With your chat there. Let's not go overboard. You're getting a little carried away there. Hey, don't forget about Sunrise Landing in Calusa. Go to CalusaSunrise.com. You get all the information on Sunrise Landing from Blazona Development. It is a great location, by the way. Easy to get to. I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20. Adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. No Mellorews, no homeowners. Go to CalusaSunrise.com. And again, check out everything with Sunrise Landing. Sunrise Landing. CalusaSunrise.com. Happy to have you here on the NBA Draft Night and our show. As we roll right along here, the Kings move up. They get into the first round. Shouldn't say they move up. They make a trade to get the 24th overall pick.
Yes, they do. We've got some more picks in. Brooklyn takes Danny Wolf, forward center out of Michigan. Boston, Hugo Gonzalez. Phoenix currently on the clock. I thought Phoenix has had a pretty good night as well tonight. They got their double bigs.
Yep, that's exactly right. I agree with you. You know, they make the deal with Charlotte for Williams. They pick up another center. They pick up a Dylan Brooks. They got Jalen Green from Houston. I mean, so this is something I'll say about Phoenix. they were a non-playoff team a year ago.
Correct.
And they're like, this is not working. We are going to make some bold moves. We're going to have a different look next year. And I give them credit because they're doing that without even knowing what's going to happen during free agency.
Yeah, I'm with you. We were talking about like where the Kings are. Like, is it the worst situation in the Western Conference? And we had Phoenix below them. I don't know that you can say. I think you still keep Sacramento a little bit above, but you got to keep your eye on that. And Grant, Portland, what are you thinking about what they're doing in their rebuilds? This is the second big they've targeted, and they're taking a big risk on him.
I was a little surprised at the deal for Drew Holiday at 35. And I thought that, for the first time in his career, we saw the decline in Holiday's game. The one thing that Drew Holiday can still do, he can still play defense at a very high level, and he will be tremendous for the young players on that team. He'll be
Bingo.
A Vince Carter type in that regard. Okay. And so I love that. But in terms of productivity, I think Portland offensively dropped a level or two, but I think defensively they improved. They have a lot of young pieces there, but Drew Holiday's not part of the future. He's part of right now.
Yeah, I mean, do you think he dropped or just was underused? Because he was a major part of the finals 1 year ago for Boston.
Yeah, he was. Well, I mean, listen, at some point, your age is going to catch up with you. He's 35. Yeah. Not that means you can't play. We saw DeRozan and what he was able to do at that age.
Yeah.
But I'm looking, he's got 3 years left on his deal, and I'm projecting where the Portland Trail Blazers are now. They're not ready yet. They could be a play-in team. I would say that. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, I would agree with you.
But to me, they're not where Oklahoma City was 3 years ago.
No,
they're not where Houston was 2 years ago, in my opinion. But they're on the ascent. Okay, and by the time they get there, Drew Holiday will be saying, "So long, I'm off to retirement."
Yeah, and hopefully he's passed the flowers to Scoot Henderson and some of those other guys that are younger on that team. Get rid of Ayton probably after this move. One thing we haven't talked about, the Kings, Grant, heavily connected or rumored to be connected with Dennis Schroder, looking to maybe bring him in as the starting point guard here under the $14.1 million MLE. Thoughts on that?
It's better than what they have now. I mean, he's a true point guard, and I don't love it, but I think it's serviceable. I think you put him with talented offensive players. I've always liked Dennis Schroeder's game, but you also have to look at Dennis Schroeder. He plays a position that is coveted in the league, and he's been on many different teams.
Yeah, very true. Actually, let me ask you this. Kendrick Perkins tonight, I wrote the quote down. The quote was, the wing is the most important position in the game today. Agreed?
I definitely do not agree with that. The point guard is the most important position in the game today.
Yeah.
And if you don't think so, go ask the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Golden State Warriors that question.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm like, what are you thinking? The wing is the most important, but to each their own.
And, also about Schroeder, he's 31, so it's not like he's old. And he's a very serviceable player. I mean, that's what he is. He knows how to play the position.
I think that's what you got to worry about. It's the upstairs. He did not play well. He did not shoot well in Golden State. He was below 30% during his time there. But sometimes, Grant, it seems like when I've watched him, he's not all the way locked in. Sometimes he's doing his own thing, and other times he is laser focused, is what you said. So,
and he didn't. And last year, I believe he finished the season with Detroit. So I mean, he can't stay on a team, and I'm always concerned about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, teams don't like to get rid of good players or move good players.
And that's
look at all the teams he's been on.
Yeah, and that's a young team that usually would benefit from a vet like that being on the roster.
So look at this career. All right, Atlanta, Oklahoma City, the Lakers, Boston, Houston, the Lakers, Toronto, Brooklyn, Golden State, Detroit. I always look at that and ask myself, why is that? Is he hard to play with? Is he not good in the locker room? Why would a guy that is viewed upon as a pretty good player, not great, but a pretty good player, why would he be on those many teams. Like, that's always a red flag for me.
And when you find out, is it usually a mixed bag of different reasons, or is there something you see more than other times with players like that?
It's a little bit of a mixed bag, but generally it's that the player is never content with where he's at. And the reality is the team that has him feels that they can be better if they move him.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, I've watched Dennis Schroder play ever since he was a rookie. I've always admired his game. I've always pointed that out. I've always thought that he was a good point guard. Not great, good, you know?
Yeah, and he's got a little bit of an edge to him, which is going to fit in well with what they're trying to build this season, at least. I guess I don't remember defensively how strong he is. I know he sets good screens offensively, but the defensive side of the ball is what I need to look at, because I think that's what's going to be kickstarting this Kings team.
All right, so we'll see whether or not that does materialize here in the next couple of days. But listen, I think it would be an improvement over what they have right now.
Yes, they don't have anything right now, Grant. They don't have a true point guard. Phoenix took Liam McNeely out of Connecticut forward. So the Clippers are now on the clock for the end of the first round.
And again, if you're just joining us, we're happy to have you here. The Kings did make a move as they traded their pick that is protected in 2027 from the Spurs to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And we talk about this draft. What's going to be very interesting is to fast forward to next year. Next year's draft is projected to have some real true franchise changers on it. Mm-hmm. 3 in particular, and it's a very deep draft if you can be in the top 5, top 8. So keep that in mind as we're, focusing in on building a team and everything else. Next year could be very, very exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's why you've got to look and evaluate your options and realize where you're at. I think Scott Perry set the bar fairly low. He's been very cautious with his expectations, but if you can grab some of those picks or get something attached, look what Orlando was willing to pay for Desmond Bane. If a team needs that piece in this NBA, we've had 7 different champions in the last 7 years. They might go over the top and make a run for it. So,
all right. If you want to give us a call, we would love to have you as we talk about the first round of the NBA draft. Also talking about EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. David and Adam, just 2 guys trying to do something different and better. Hey, listen, if you don't have a vehicle to sell, don't worry about it, because you're going to want to buy a vehicle, correct, at some point? Well, I love what they do at EDH Motors. Go to their website, edhmotors.com. Look at what they have available. But if you don't see it, get in touch with them. They will use their decades of automotive experience to find exactly what you're looking for. And then you take delivery at their auto lounge at the El Dorado Hills Town Center. It's great. You don't ever go to a dealership. You don't deal with all of that. It's a phenomenal concept from David and Adam at EDH Motors. Go to edhmotors.com. You've got the phone number. You got the email on that graphic as well. If you're looking to sell your vehicle or whatever the case may be, get in touch with David and Adam. EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined.
The dealership experience is just so bad. It's not genuine, Grant. It's not.
It's so plasticky, right? It's just so fake.
Yeah. You got to be a different cat to work in that industry. To be a car salesman, you got to have some thick skin.
Oh boy. Yeah, you really do. Yeah, you really do. You absolutely do. Oh boy.
I know we get annoyed with them, but door-to-door salesman, is there a more difficult thing to do these days? So some of those occupations make us realize how easy we have it.
Unbelievable. All right. The first round is in the books. All right. I'll let you tell everyone who the Clippers selected.
The Clippers. Here we go. Yannick Conan Niederhauser.
Okay.
That's pretty good, huh?
Yeah,
Syosset?
I'm actually very, very impressed. Now, if Jerry were here, it would be really, really good to have him on to talk. Jerry, who did the Clippers just select?
You know what he'd say?
Ooh, that's a great question.
That's what Jerry would say.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
What's wrong with us?
You know, a little bit off. A couple fries short of a Happy Meal. Could be
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah. All right. Well, at least the Kings got some news, got the fans talking, right? At least the fans now can talk about a player that is now part of their franchise, Nique Clifford, out of Colorado State.
And we move to tomorrow, which, hey, I talked to somebody that was in the room last year for the Kings, and many of the executives are in favor of the 2-day draft. And it's not because the NBA wants to extend it. It's because of what you saw tonight. You only pick 2 rounds. It's hectic. There's trades going on everywhere. And you've got to look back and assess and say, okay, where's the league at now with what shifted? And it gives them that extra time to take that
from
breath.
a basketball executive's perspective, they love it. Of course they do.
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah.
Makes all the sense in the world.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Go ahead.
I was going to give my 2 guys to look for tomorrow at 42.
Okay.
The 2 guys I'm looking at are Ryan Nembhard. The difficult thing about Ryan Nembhard, 4-year guy, he's played for Mark Few at Gonzaga, a couple of different schools, 4-year starter, a little bit undersized, but his basketball IQ is through the roof. His ball handling is impeccable. When it comes to a floor general, that's what you think of. He is a little bit more limited on the defensive end of the floor. Shooting is a little bit of an issue for him as well. The second that I look at is
Let me
Michigan.
stop real quickly. Where do you have a projection for him where most people feel he's going to go in the second round?
It's mixed. The Athletic has him, I believe, around 49 is the 49th best prospect. The other guy, and we saw some guys tonight move up that were in that range besides the center from China. The other guy is Vlad Golden from Michigan, 7'1". He moves very well for his size. He's built decently, 7'5" wingspan, little bit of a rim runner. I think a little bit more of an athletic, how would you say it? Alex Len. So, and keep this in mind, 2nd round picks, but I think those are 2 names that the Kings might take a serious look at. Both were in for workouts with the Kings.
We're getting a lot of messages that the Kings drafted Devin Carter all over again. I don't know how you can say that. I really don't, for 2 reasons. Number one, we didn't see a lot of Devin Carter last year. And number 2, I'm not trying to be a wise ass here. I would say that 99% of you right now have never even heard of Nique Clifford. All right. Until he was drafted by the Kings. And so, you're not sitting there watching Colorado State play on a, Tuesday night, at 11 o'clock at night. All right. Let's be serious here. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So I will concede this to those saying that. At first glance, I understand why you're making that connection, because he's a little bit bigger, he guards multiple positions, and he rebounds, and he plays the guard position. Now, Devin, I think they're completely different in a sense, and the expectations and why the Kings drafted them are completely different as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, when I made a comment, I wonder if that means that Devin Carter's on his way out. I said that just based because of the position they play. Not necessarily the skill set, which you can always look at a player and see what he does well. And look, I just, at some point, let's assume for sake of conversation right now, that you add Dennis Schroder or another guard.
Uh-huh.
How many guards can you have on the roster?
You're going to have to get rid of some. You just can't have, you need 2 true point guards that can play minutes. And then you need that combo guard that can guard multiple positions, in my opinion. 4.
So I guess time will tell. For anyone interested, says Daniel, The Athletic did a long story about Nique Clifford today. I highly recommend it. There you go. If you want more information, there it is for you.
Yep. We've been putting up some info on him as well. Okay, let's say, and Devin Carter's name has come up in rumors, and I know you don't deal in those, but how do we look back at that draft pick if Devin Carter is traded?
Depends what you get for him.
Okay.
I mean, if you can take a player, like we analyze the Tyrese Halliburton pick all the time, correct?
Yes.
I mean, it's the Kings didn't give Tyrese Halliburton away.
No.
They got a huge piece. Now,
Correct.
you can debate all you want, whether it's good or bad or what have you. But it's, again, you traded a player that was on the rise for a sure all-star type player who really has not disappointed. I mean, the Sabonis is really, really good. So I don't know what that turns into. And here's the second part of that question. What type of value does Devin Carter have around the league?
That's a great question. I think you look at his pedigree, you know the offensive limitations, but you know the defense. It's going to be there. The rebounding is likely going to be there. I look at it a little bit different. If you were to trade Devin Carter, last year was going to kind of be that year, Grant, that they were going to make the improvements. The Kings were going to go a little more, quote unquote, all in. And I think you would look back and say that had a very big impact on some of the implosions that we saw with the Kings not having that extra guard or point guard in the roster.
And here's another aspect that we have to talk about. The regime of the Sacramento Kings right now didn't draft Devin Carter. Scott Perry may have a completely different opinion of Carter. He may not like Carter in terms of how he fits into what he wants to build. So you always have that aspect too.
Because Scott Perry really, I guess you have to make a judgment that soon, but on a guy that has so little tape for the most part in the NBA. Had a cup of coffee there, Grant.
They could be worried about a lot of things. Again, I'm just saying these things all come into play when you're talking about a young player, and then all of a sudden you have a new front office.
Yeah. Well, if that were the case, I would be very happy because that means Scott Perry is making the decisions, Nibs.
We'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. What are you doing tomorrow? I'm going to come on at 8. I'm going to come on around 8 o'clock again tomorrow. I don't know what your schedule is, but I'm going to come on and I'm going to talk about the draft being in the books, and then I'll wrap up the week on Friday, and we'll get you right into the weekend. And then next week, we're going to be talking a lot of NBA free agency.
Yes, a ton. Look at everything that's happened leading up to the draft. It's going to be insane. I will be on at 3 o'clock tomorrow, 3 o'clock Friday. Maybe I will try to join you tomorrow night, and we will get ready for the second round, talk more about the Kings moving up and grabbing Nique Clifford, and get you ready for tomorrow night.
I really like the pick. He plays like Donovan Mitchell. Really? He plays like Donovan
Mitchell.
So the 24th player in the draft, in a draft that's not projected to be very strong, plays like Donovan Mitchell. Well, that's good. That will make Kings fans very happy.
Wow. We hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Incredible.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. Hey, listen, I'm okay. Listen, if the Kings have a player that they just drafted who ends up being as good as Donovan Mitchell, we'll take everybody out to Bennett's, all right, for prime seafood and steaks.
New York Primes.
Yep, absolutely. Sacramento, Roseville, or the West Side Grill in Rockland. We'll have a vote and let the viewers select which one of the restaurants they want to go to. Maybe we'll do the West Side Grill. But so if the Kings today drafted Donovan Mitchell, we'll all go to Bennett's Restaurants and we'll enjoy prime seafood and steaks. Remember, Bennett'sRestaurants.com to make a reservation and more. How does that sound, Ryno, if they just have a Donovan Mitchell on their roster now?
Grant, changes everything. We are back, Grant. The beam might be on more than 41 times this year. Holy moly. Thinking the same thing. DC wasn't Perry's pick. Yeah, well, a lot of people think of that. A lot of thoughts going through. Look, you needed bodies. We'll see how he works out. Grant, would you call this low risk to a degree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No question. No brainer. Low risk.
Bingo.
If you like a player, get him.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nothing to
absolutely.
lose.
Again, we see players that are late first round, second round picks develop into really good NBA players. I'm not saying it can't happen, but remember, this guy was taken 24th in a draft that's not regarded as that strong.
But I'm going to give this disclaimer. He played and you did as well, 4 years in college.
I love
think
it.
that makes a difference for a guy
Agreed.
that's probably going to be asked to play next season.
I agree. I'm right with you on that. All right. Tomorrow, we got you covered. If there's any breaking news between now and then, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you'll always know when we're doing shows. You won't miss a thing.
We appreciate it. And by the way, if you can't watch, you can always listen. Go to Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcasts. Search If You Don't Like That. Everything's there for you as well. Take us on the go.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you tomorrow. We got a variety of shows. Make it a good evening. We'll talk to you soon here on If You Don't Like That. Bye-bye now.